Hey guys, welcome to the second podcast of the Youth Teen Christian Association. My name is Nick,
My name is Theo.
And my name's Ezra.
and I'm so glad you guys could join us today because we have a very great topic that I think many of you guys could relate to. But before we start, if you guys haven't already, I'm sorry for the shameless plug, but please go check out our Instagram and our website where you'll find many great resources that you might need. And we have a small group as well. And Ezra, would you like to talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, so our small group is just kind of a community of people, of an intimate group of people who, then you don't have to be Christian, but it's just a group of people who want to kind of get to know each other better and be able to have some kind of interaction, since we've been so isolated during this COVID-19 pandemic. And I mean, it is going to be centered around the Christian community, but feel free to join, even if you're not Christian. And yeah, we're just looking forward to having a good time and maybe just talking because, talking is a really important thing.
Nice. Sounds good. And Theo, would you like to add anything about the website? You know,
Oh, currently the website has the YouTube link to our podcast. And it also, I think, has our first podcast topic on it, which was basically the welcome podcast, like introducing all three of us. So I'll put more information as soon as we get this podcast done. But hope you are looking at the website. And yeah, I spent kind of a lot of time on it. So yeah.
make sure you guys
Hey.
appreciate Theo's hard work by looking at the website.
Nick,
No, I'm just kidding.
okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And if you guys haven't, last time is our last podcast is our welcome one. I know some of you guys may think it's a little chaotic, but keep in mind we're still newbies, and give us a little time. I will promise this one will be 10 times better. All right. So I guess without further ado, we'll jump straight into the topic that we'll be talking about today, which is isolation and that feeling of being, I guess, disconnected from each other. So, as many of you guys know, we're in the pandemic. Well, at least at the time that this video is uploaded, we are in the pandemic.
We're in a pandemic? Wait,
Oh, really?
for real?
Oh, no.
Wait,
no,
you mean the
gotta be
board
kidding me.
game?
I'm
Actually,
just kidding.
that's a fun board game,
It's
actually.
I know.
I know it's something that's very depressing. I know it's something that's very hard, heavy-hearted issue, right? Like it was 27 million cases in the United States already, which shocking, right?
Actually.
Just so many. Like I can't imagine, the family members who are going through that, the people, But it's a tough time for everyone, But one of the biggest things that happens during this time is, people are alone, right? Because we have this social distancing. We're not allowed to, see each other. And this is why you're seeing us on Zoom, right? Or we might have been in person in one person's house and just, have a camera set up and just, shooting all of us. But that's not the case, right? We have social distancing, right? The BBC actually have found that 4 out of 10 young people ages 16 to 24 actually describe themselves as lonely, which is a pretty shocking statistic to me. Like, I don't know to you guys, but like, it's interesting to see, like, if I have a group of 10 people, right? If I have 10 friends, 4 of them are lonely. Like, yeah, that is a pretty shocking statistic. Like,
And that statistic was also taken in 2018 before the pandemic. Right. So just imagine how many more people feel lonely now and isolated.
Exactly.
That must suck.
Right.
So I guess, yeah, that's kind of where we are right now. We're in the pandemic. A lot of us are feeling isolated. So that kind of brings us to our first question that we're going to try to talk about here. What have you guys noticed about, people in isolation?
I guess I'll take this one first. For sure, like, since we haven't, well, as high schoolers, we're taking online school courses, so we're not able to, like, physically see our classmates in person. Like, I feel like we've been feeling a little bit like we miss more going to school, like, every day. That's, like, the one thing I've noticed about, especially high schoolers in isolation. Another thing could be, like, lack of enthusiasm. Like, it's kind of hard to do your homework, like, if you're not able to, see people every day and, like, have that social connection. So little motivation, that's like a big thing that's out there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I think many of us actually miss school, right? Like, honestly, that's something I don't think any of us would have said before. oh, look at me, I'm in school. Yeah, that thought is ridiculous before, but now yeah, everyone kind of craves that.
Yeah. I guess for me and like the whole quarantine and isolation, I feel like um yeah, just like not being able to see people is like it's pretty depressing. I'm gonna be honest. Just because like there are I'm a pretty extroverted person, I'd say. So like a lot of the times I enjoy like spending time with people, and that's kind of where I get my energy from, right? So it kind of sucks that yeah, we have to social distance, and like even though like obviously I'm very grateful for, you know, like having the ability to talk online with you guys and like being able to communicate online, like that's something that people probably 20, 30 years ago couldn't imagine. But being able to communicate like this online, even though it is a real blessing and like it is really nice to have, it doesn't really substitute for in-person interaction. And I feel like because like of that lack of intimate sort of talking and like being together, like it's harder to even like just maintain friendships and whatnot. I wouldn't say that I've lost a lot of friends, but I would say like at least a few of them have gotten farther away from me. And yeah.
It's tragic. It's not something that we desire, but that's something we have to live with. I think for me, I really noticed how people have changed during the pandemic. To take one of the examples, one of my neighbor, he has a son, and I'm friends with him. He
Mm.
is not really an outgoing person. He's more of an antisocial person. But the pandemic has turned him even more antisocial. His
Uh,
parents were hoping that he could go outside, play with friends and things like that. But now they don't have a chance. He kind of just stays at home, plays video games all day. He just doesn't really walk out of this room. He doesn't really exercise, doesn't walk the dogs anymore. I think that kind of change in social behavior is really scary to me. He's only 2 grades younger than me. I'm just afraid that I don't want him to see to a future where he just likes to just sit in his room, right? Because we're humans, right? That's kind of just human nature. We like to be with other people, right? We're a group animal, right? We're not like lions, right? We're not like lions who hunt alone. We're we're basically descendants. I actually
Wait,
I think
lions
I'm
hadn't.
pretty sure lions hunt alone, but you can
okay.
correct me on that.
That point aside, we're social beings.
Exactly.
That's the
There it is.
point.
Thank you, Ezra. Thank you, Ezra.
I'd actually that's really interesting, or that kind of reminded me of something. I'm part of like a science team, and I have a partner who's also a freshman, and I remember like especially during the first semester of this year, school year, like it was really hard for like her to make friends, like because she's a freshman, she doesn't know anyone, and unlike us who like kind of knew each other before the pandemic started, like she's going into high school, and like she really missed out on like making friends because like nobody, you don't make a lot of new friends during the pandemic.
That's
So
true.
like yeah, I feel like a lot of people are just struggling to like even like get that starting step in like social interaction in like high school and middle school that's so vital to like staying sane because high school is not the most um emotionally supportive organization.
I think everyone can agree with that. Like, high school, right? It's like you see. I think the interesting about that is right. Middle school is made up of a bunch of smaller kind of elementary school students coming together, and
Yeah.
high school is a bunch of middle school students coming together, right? So it's like a lot of mixed people. Not everyone's going to be nice to you, right? And I think I remember my ninth grade and half of my actually a little more than half of my 10th grade, hanging out with friends, you know, eating lunch and things like that. Those are really good memories. I think I could have lived without that. I think that really established me, who I am.
Mm, mm, mm.
And people in isolation can't really get that. Okay? As I really noticed that there's only 2 types of people in isolation: the pursuer and the receiver. And let me explain what that means. Basically, right, there are those people who goes like, "Hey, if you're gonna call me to hang out on Zoom, I'm 100% fine with that. But I'm not gonna be the one who calls you and like, hey, you want to hang out? And the pursuer are kind of the opposite. There's the one going like, hey, do you want to hang out? Hey, do you want to play a game? Or hey, do you want to do this? Right? There's always two types of people, right? The pursuers and the one who receives, right? I think it's better to be on a pursuing end, right? To kind of reach out to the who are lonely. But that's just what I'm noticing. You guys have anything else you guys think? All right, cool. So now we have talked about how we observed other people to have felt alone. Have you guys felt the loneliness, and what ways did you guys feel it? Like, did you guys change any of your habits, anything?
I think if you want to take this one, I'm kind of
All right,
still
yeah,
thinking.
yeah, I'll take this one. I guess I'll go first. Yeah, when the pandemic first hit, at first I thought it was the best thing ever because no school, like games every day actually.
What a
But then,
gamer.
What a gamer, exactly.
but then a few weeks later, I'm like, man, I can't see my friends anymore, like in person. Like I think that's like when the loneliness started going in. Like, okay, it felt pretty terrible, especially like for us Christians. Like we like going to meetings in person. Well, at least I like going to the meetings in person. So like having these Zoom meetings are kind of like a drag. Like I can't get about the same enjoyment as I had when I was in the actual meetings.
Right.
So yeah, that was kind of a letdown. Um, in what ways I fixed this? Well, I didn't fix this. It's just I found some solutions to this kind of. So I've been actually calling a few people like every week. It's actually been like helping me, and I bet helping them a lot. Like if you that's like a really good way for me. Like we can catch up on like the events that happen. And like I have this one friend who's like kind of a nerd like me, so we kind of talk about TOK class. For those of you who don't know what TOK is, it's basically a philosophy class that talks about stuff you don't usually learn in school, like will robots take over the world and stuff. So yeah, I really like those conversations, and it's pretty cool. So yeah.
It's hard to have meaningful conversations nowadays, huh? Over Zoom. It's hard. I find it hard to have like a really good, like just like a really wholehearted, wholesome conversation with someone. Because I feel like it's better to meet face to face. Like, I mean, like when my parents, right? Because we live in the same house, we can have that kind of intimate relation. We can have that kind of conversation, right? But with kind of people online, it's like we're separated, right? We're together but separated in a way. So
Yeah, for sure. I think like when you're in person and you're like talking, whether it's like one on one or like in a group, like you can't just like back out like I'm not comfortable, like I'm just gonna leave or like something like that.
exactly.
But like in online, if you're not comfortable or if you just don't like if you're just not engaged, you can just turn off your camera and mic and be like
Exactly.
and dip. And like that's so much easier. It's like so much easier to become invisible online.
Right.
Um and so yeah, that I think that has been a big reason for why a lot of the times it's hard to maintain relationships over the pandemic. I've definitely felt like, oh, but I don't need to respond to this person immediately. I can wait, or like like just even communication. Like if somebody says something online, it's hard to tell what they really mean because like it's just text. There's no body language, there's no tone, there's nothing that can help you like decipher what they mean. And using especially a lot of like lingo that can come off as offensive, at least with a few of my friends, it's hard to tell when they're being like actually angry or sad about something and when they're just like meaning.
Right. I totally get that feeling, right? You can't just in a normal conversation, you can't just like, oh, I don't want to listen to you anymore. I can't see you. I can't hear you. I can't do anything. Like it doesn't make sense, right? That's just silly. But online environment, you can, and right, like sometimes it's just my personal preference. I don't know how many of you guys share it, but I don't like talking to a black screen. I don't like talking to an icon. I like to talk to a face who can like kind of react, right, with emotions. Right? They're not just like a blank, just something that's never changing, right? I guess for me, it was, isolation has really made me different in a way that sometimes I like to rely on myself a lot now for a lot of things, right? Because I think, sometimes getting friends is not going to be that easy, right? Not, yes, you can still call them, yes, you can do all these things, but sometimes, I find that, it's, that alone time really makes me want to be alone. Like before, I kind of just took friendship for granted a little. Like, yeah, I have friends. Yeah, I can go talk to them. Yeah, I can do this. I can do that. Right. Before it's like, oh, do you want to hang out this Saturday? No, I have the next Saturday. I have like 15 other Saturdays to hang out with you. Right. It's more like that. But now it's like, do we want to hang out? Hey, bro, we can't hang out. It's COVID, right? Like it's different. I don't have that privilege anymore. And that really makes me go like, oh man, those hangouts I denied, those times I could have bonded with my peers that I said no to because I wanted to be alone. Look what has just look at what we're in right now. And it's like, man, I should have done something differently, right? And I try to fix this. I try to make sure that I am engaged by we have a regular meeting with my church small group that we kind of talk with each other and catch each other up, just kind of small things. And one of the things that I think works for me, I don't know how many people works for you guys, right? Everyone's different. Everyone has their own solutions. I don't know. Yours might be taking a bath, driving, reading a book, right? For me, right? Sometimes it's just playing video games with a friend, right? Video games with friends. That's to me very, very impactful, right? We're on the same team. We're trying to, whether we're on the same team or not, whether we're trying to accomplish the same objective or not, right? We're still trying to communicating with each other. We're having fun. And that fun, right? We're creating that bond between each other, right? Either it's a trust relationship, right? Or an antitrust relationship, depending on what you're playing, right? Exactly. Yeah. We have some gamers in here. So it's my point is just everyone is different. And for video games, for me, awesome, right? And for you guys, for those of you guys who are listening, if you guys think video games is your thing, go for it. Grab a couple friends and play with them, right? Even if you haven't talked to them in years, just like, hey, do you want to play a video game, right? There's nothing awkward about that, right? Because, well, you can talk about the same, you have a common topic here. Right? It's just as simple as that.
That's true. I think, I mean, actually, Theo, do you want to go? I've been talking.
Go ahead, Ezra. I was just agreeing.
Okay. Yeah, I think one of the things that I've realized in like the pandemic setting is like you'll like people are like very subconscious about like messaging people to like hang out, and like they'll be like, oh, it might be awkward, or it might just be like, it's a lot of effort. Like it seems so like weird at first to like reach out. That makes people not want to do it, right? Like it's hard to reach out because it takes energy, and sometimes it may seem awkward. But I think like the more and more you really think about it, I feel it's just really important to reach out. Like even if it may come off as awkward, or even if it may seem really desperate or even kind of weird, I think reaching out is really the only way we're going to stay connected. Because I mean, I know like a lot of people who I haven't reached out to, I've become less intimate with. And so I've been trying to reach out to people more, and like making sure that like they're okay. Like even just like small conversation, like, hey, how's your day? Or like, oh, like you posted something funny. I thought that was pretty, you posted something funny. I remember that, or something like that. Like all of those like small conversations kind of make up for the conversations that you miss, like just talking to each other in the school hallway or just at church.
Yeah, weren't you gonna say something?
Oh no.
Oh, are you good?
I'm good.
I mean, yeah, I definitely think sometimes it's not about I guess you want to be having those conversations. If it's a 2-second conversation, so be it, right? You still want it. You still want that because small conversations can lead up to bigger things, right? It's like saying I have a really good quote from this Danish author. His name is Jacob Riis. And he says, if you hammer away at a stone, right, for the 100th strike, if you strike it 100 times, right, it's never going to crack. But at the 101st strike, it's going to crack, right? Small conversations like that might not seem like a big enough impact, right? But once it stacks up, right? Once it reaches that point, you're like, oh, we're actually being meaningful here, right? We're actually impacting each other's life in a positive way, right? Those things you don't really realize unless, right? Unless you slowly accumulate them, which is the important part. But yeah, that's what I wanted to add to that. I think that was very good.
Wait, is that quote from Mr. Yagu's AP World
Yes,
History
indeed,
class?
that is from Yager.
Ah, okay, that's
Mr.
where
Yager, if you're
I
watching this,
remember
thank you
it
so much
from.
for that. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, Dio.
For those of you who don't know Mr. Yager, he's a teacher at Granada Hills Charter High School,
He
the
teaches
school we go to.
AP World History.
Yeah.
He's a great teacher.
But anyways, how about now? Let's look at it a little more with the Christian perspective, right? I think, without getting too deep into it, I think it's important to see that, as a Christian, you have brothers and sisters in Christ. You have other people that are there. We're not dummies. We're not just T-posing in the corner. We are there for you, right? We are there. We're
not
humans.
AFK.
Exactly. We are not AFK if you want to take talking gamer language. We are there, all right? And reach out. Reach out to people, right? As a fellow Christian, you can definitely, right? There are other people you can talk to. I don't know. I mean, Ezra, Theo, right? It's really important that, it's to talk to others, right? And to not be afraid, right? Because we're not there to make you feel guilty. We're not there to shame you.
Right? Of course not.
We're there. We're accepting. That's what we believe in. That's what we've been taught, because the Bible said so. Right? Yeah, even if you're not a Christian, reach out to your Christian friends. They'll be more than happy to listen to you. Because there are always people in the world who wants to. Does anyone else, you guys want to add like a small, like biblical, some how do we see this in a Christian point of view?
I guess I'll add another thing. Sometimes we think like we're always by ourselves, but I have to say that I think that during this pandemic, like God has been with me like every step of the way. Even if I think no one's there for me, at least God's there for me. I don't have COVID. My family doesn't have COVID. I'm doing like really well right now. Sometimes you just need a change in perspective. Like, hey, at least we're not in danger. We're not dying. And I'm sorry to those who have loved ones passed away. I'm deeply regretful for that. But there's still some positive things in our life, and we can thank God that we have these things. And He's always been with me and my family. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really good. I think that's a really good perspective to take, because we can complain, we can ask God like, why did all this happen? But I think in the end, we just have to focus on, understanding our situation and like being grateful for even the small things, because I mean, yeah, it does suck that we're in the pandemic, and it does suck that a lot of people are dying and people are getting sick and whatnot. But once again, there's always, during these like tragic times, when we look back to God and we acknowledge who He is and His dominance over our lives, we just have to remember that, who am I to complain about our situation? I just have to trust in God and be obedient. Yeah, we're not going to get too theological here, obviously, but
Right.
I think, of course, it's good. It's good to maintain the sort of humble perspective and maintain the kind of servant attitude that is talked about a lot in the Bible.
I think you two have a great point, right? We can linger on the past forever, but what the past is, it's the past. If we linger on it forever, we never move on. We'll never see the bright future ahead of us, because we do have a past. We do have a future. There is hope out there, right? And if you look, right, there will be hope. But That's the biggest thing. Do not linger to the past, right? Yes, many people have passed away. Yes, that is very sad. It's something sometimes you need to kind of slow down and think about these things. You know, After you take that time, it is time to move on, right? Because life goes on without really stopping. Whether you want time to stop or you don't want time to stop, time will go. That's not something you can really change. Right? Or the best you can do is be positive, look towards the future. You know, there's always, right, always a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what I believe. So, um, anyways, I guess so. That's some of the things that we think about. Now, how about let's look at let's look at something that people online are saying. What other people in the world are responding to this COVID-19 pandemic, and like that sense of isolation and anxiety. What other people are saying. I guess the first thing that people say is spend quality time with family. Kind of self-explanatory, right, guys? I mean, family.
Okay, I do agree with that, like spending time with your family, especially the people that like the only people who you really get to see on a daily basis. I think that's good. But also there's the whole issue with like, what if you don't have a good relationship with your family? And sometimes it's really hard to work that out. Um and so I'm not saying don't spend time with your family, obviously, because that's very important. But I think that especially if you are struggling with your family relationships, which will be a topic on its own. Maybe we'll cover it, maybe not. But if you're struggling with your family, then like I don't really I know like it might be a bit hard to do that, and that might be just like a roadblock that will be in people's way.
Right.
We said before, not all of these apply to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these works better, and some that work. Just kind of take it with a grain of salt, right? That's one of the things that's important. Another thing I think is very important is to take a break from the news, right? The news every day online, all you see are, oh, look at how many people's in the hospitals, right? Oh, look at this part's getting shut down, that part, right? Look at that, like, right? Just take a break, right, from the news. Go outside, go look at plants, right? Do some other work, right? Distract yourself from the news, right? You can't let news dominate your life, right? Because what you see on the news might not be what is really happening, right? Because the news want to get your attention. They want you to keep watching, right? That's the whole point. If no one watches the news, then they're not going to make money. Well, I think, but I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that, but they need viewership. So
I think yeah, definitely, because the news is like always filled with like updates on the pandemic, and like it's usually very depressing. Um, and while it is good to keep yourself informed about the world state, it's not good to be ignorant, obviously, right?
mm.
You don't want to like say, "Oh, there's a pandemic going on. What's that?" Like, obviously you don't want to be like ignorant of the situation. But I think, yeah, taking a break from news and making sure that your focus and your mind aren't placed on solely like all the tragic things that are going on in the world. I think putting too much focus on that will be very unhealthy for your mental state. That's just my take.
What do you think, Theo? Like I
I
know.
agree
Do you watch the news a
totally.
lot? I mean,
Unfortunately, no. I'm kind of like one of those guys who don't watch the news that much. I mean, I kind of want to watch the news more, but at the same time, I kind of don't want. After
Mm.
all, I mean, the news nowadays is kind of depressing, like
yeah, it is.
especially with all these racism, like COVID-19 pandemic, like these
Yeah.
incidents. I mean, I do scan the news like every morning a little bit, but like I don't really watch the news that much. And I have to say that I feel that I'm a little bit. If I'd watched the news more, I probably would be more depressed than I am now.
Right.
Mm.
So
I mean,
yeah,
there is a good side. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? At the end of the day, it does keep you informed, but at the same time, sometimes it does make situations depressing. That is the news for you, though. But okay, due to time constraints, we'll give you one. We'll give you guys one more. We have one extra tip that people are saying. And if you guys, by the way, any of you guys want to know anything else, anything extra about it, we'll have a link to the article. We'll have to how to handle this and some of the tips that other experts are giving. I guess the last thing is go outdoors and just kind of get yourself busy, which very true, right? Like if you're focused on something, right? Your mind is just solely thinking about that one thing that sometimes you blur out a lot of the other things around you. Right? I mean, do you have like get a hobby? Well, if you don't have a hobby, that is. If you have a hobby, go ahead, right? If you like playing piano, play the piano. Video games, if you like playing video games, don't play too much video games. But entertain yourself, right?
None of those are necessarily outside activities.
Actually, yeah. Well, outside activities, huh? Okay, like play sports, volleyball, baseball, basketball.
Okay.
With yourself?
Yeah.
Actually,
Like, how do you play volleyball with yourself? You have to be like.
Actually,
you have to have
yeah, you're
shadow
right.
clones on both sides of the net. Or
Oh,
something.
dude, shadow clones.
Well,
that was an anime reference. Don't worry if you guys don't know it.
we'll be throwing references around, but you know what? Kudos to you if you get it. But anyways, right, you can go on the hike. Remember wear your mask though. But like you can go outside, right? I mean, outside doesn't mean into the wild, into the wilderness, right? Your backyard is the outside, right? Because if you guys don't know, here's the house, right? It's what's not inside of the house, it's outside. Whoa, right? I'm so smart.
All right. All right. That was very informative, Nick. All right.
Right.
Yeah, you guys agree, huh? Okay. Yeah, I'm here to entertain you guys. So
Okay.
yeah, so those are some of the tips we can give you. And as well, we actually found something online. It's called the Yale well-being class that they teach you how to be how to be yourself and how to take care of yourself, how to kind of increase productivity, and how to kind of get a better self-image, right? It kind of improves it. It's a free course. Already three. Yeah.
To be clear, so it's called the Science of Happiness. It just opened yesterday, and like already 3 million people have like signed up for it. So it's open to like everyone, and like even though it's at Yale, like it's open to everyone. Like you can go ahead and take it. It's free, and like I actually am taking it right now. I haven't looked much into it yet, but it's basically they give you a bunch of online resources they give you videos about this psychologist who like teaches you the science behind happiness. I didn't look much into it, as I said. So, but the topics are like what really makes you happy, like the misconceptions behind happiness, like how to apply these things that make you happy into your life. So I find it pretty fascinating. So you guys should check it out. Like even if you don't pay attention, like even if you don't do much into it, it's free. Like it's online. Like you guys should definitely look into it.
Yeah.
And
great.
we'll give you the link like after this video because
In the description.
in the description.
It'll be there. Everything will be there. But yeah, that's just something. If you guys are interested, you guys can enroll. And, and I think we reached our end of our time. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you guys being here. Again, please check out our Instagram, our website, and different things that we have. Definitely not a shameless plug, but yeah, check it out, guys. And you know what? Does anyone else? Do you guys have anything else you guys want to talk about? Oh yeah, small group. Yeah, we'll be hosting small group this Saturday. Am I right?
Well, it depends on how many people sign up. If we get enough people, then yeah, we'll definitely be holding one this Saturday. If you're interested, interest form will also be in the description below. But otherwise, we might have to hold back for another week. We will be sending out an email to all those who sign up on whether or not we're going to be doing one this Saturday.
Make sure to sign up, guys, if you guys are interested. In the comments, leave any suggestions that you guys might have for us, where we want to improve. We want to get better. We want to make sure this is informative, right? So anything if you guys have, please leave it in the comments. And as always, It's fun at the
Everything's again.
YTCA.
The YTCA.
Thank you guys for
Alright.
tuning in this week.
Thank
For our
you.
second
Thank
podcast
you.
about isolation and loneliness. And we will see you in the next week. Peace, guys.
I think we need to work on that ending.